So you know that automation is starting to become increasingly important.
Trigger, they submit information, action, send this email to them with this attachment, and you go down that road.
All right, guys.
Automation in your fitness coaching business is going to be one of the things that saves your life when you get super busy. And we're going to break down the top 3 to maybe 30 simple automations that you should be doing in your coaching business over the next 5 to 15, maybe 90 minutes. So buckle up. Buckle up.
All right, guys. So if you're anything like me and you've been coaching for a while, there are going to be some gaps in your technical skill sets, right? And at the end of the day, you're always going to be limited by the amount of time that you have. One of the things that really potentially saves people a lot of time, if you're in the industry for long enough and you're trying to grow to a certain point, is that you have to start getting some of those things off of your plate, right? Things like follow-up emails, things like reminders, things like getting a new client an onboarding packet, things like getting the people that are interested in coaching, capturing their contact information, then sending them a couple emails to give them some more information for them to understand who you are. There's so many different things that you can automate. And in the year that this is recorded, which is 2025 currently, there are probably hundreds, if not thousands, of different platforms, of different integrations, of different services that you're going to want to streamline your process. And that requires a little bit of thought. So if you haven't watched some of the previous episodes around walking people through the problem awareness continuum, how you actually deliver your coaching service, automating things that you don't even know that you need to do is by and large not the conversation you should be in right now. If you're in your 0 to 5 clients, you're trying to figure out how to coach. Some of these things are not going to be a relevant topic for you. These become significantly more important when you are strapped for time, meaning like you have too many clients or you have too many other responsibilities. And that's where this automation conversation can really take you to that next level and also reduce your effort on the back end. So, Steve, automations, what are the options here?
I mean, the options are truly limitless. And I think I'm going to go down the road of how do I choose what to automate is probably the best question to answer.
That's a good
And because it gets overwhelming and you got people out there like automation sucks and better connection without automation and all of this stuff. And that's not incorrect, but there's certain points in the kind of that service delivery, that marketing spot where you're not worried about connection. You're worried about actually doing what you said you were going to do. So if you do something super consistently that has little to no customization around it whatsoever, those are the things that you should start to automate first. So when I say super consistently, it's not, do I have to deliver onboarding papers 3 times a day? It's every time I onboard a client, what things have to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every time somebody says, oh, hey, I'm interested to learn more about you, what has to happen? Every time somebody hits 6 weeks of your program, what has to happen? There's a level of let me guarantee these things happen because they help create certain outcomes in my business. Now, if you have 0 clients, you probably need to worry more about the marketing side of things. If you have 40 clients, you probably need to worry about more of the service delivery side of things. That said, as Andrew said, until you can tell me what you actually have to worry about, like in your business, because don't assume, don't guess, but go down the road of, all right, I have no clients, go get clients and don't worry about this right now. But on the marketing side of the house, and I'll just go front to back on the top 1 or 2 things that I would start to think about is when somebody says, hey, I'm interested in what it is you do, or you solving my problem, or more learning more about who you are. Well, fantastic. You capture their information somewhere, and then you're going to send them what you promised to send them. 2 ways in today's world that this is going to really happen. Way number 1 is you get an email address somehow, some way, and you're now going to automatically email them the thing that you said you would. So what's the guide, what's the training, what's the video, what's the cheat sheet, the hack, the whatever it is, and ensure that that gets to them, so that way you follow through with that initial promise. On the other side of it, social media tends to be a really big place where people are going to engage, and you're going to, again, lean into your marketing. So there are platforms out there on social media where people might send you a direct message or make a comment on a post that can automatically, again, either respond to that comment and or respond to that direct message and bring them through a journey, send them the thing that they wanted, whatever it might be. I'm not going to go in depth of all the things you could do because there is a lot, but those would be the first two places from a marketing side of things that I would start to investigate what automation might look like in my business.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's actually a great point, real quick. And a caveat is that the Klopster
I was
Claw.
ready to go in, all right. And then you're like, well, hey.
Yeah. No. I know. And so, like, for those of you that are, again, and this might be a foreign concept, so I really do want to like take a beginner's perspective on this. So if this is kind of boring you, like, jump ahead, make sure you smash that subscribe button, because we have an intermediate and an advanced level of automations, because different levels of coaching and business size are going to require drastically different. But what we're pointing to right now is effectively that you can automate something, meaning you can make it happen without you having to get in there manually. And it can happen a couple different ways. One is that you can pay someone, an administrative assistant, to go out there and do that. You can hire a virtual, a VA, someone in the Philippines, India, something like that. If you wanted to go that route, that might cost you anywhere from 50 to like $1,000 a month, Steve. Somewhere in that range. And the more complex it is, as AI, and this is really important because AI is going to take a lot of these things that we are automating currently, whether it's through people or software, and it's going to make that significantly more accessible for us. And so if you haven't gotten our ChatGPT kind of guidebook and Bible, comment, ChatGPT or comment AI below, and we'll send you the way to navigate some of that and get some ideas. But automation is going to be the thing that's going to allow you to drastically increase that. You can do that by hiring people, buying software, and those are mostly the two ways that you're going to be able to do a lot of this stuff. We're focusing mostly on the software in this case. Maybe we'll talk about doing some of the VA stuff or how to find some good help. If that's something you want, comment VA below the episode. We'll make sure we put something together for you as well. But as far as it relates to, we're talking about software specifically. Steve, can you maybe walk us through some software options for people that are looking to get into automations? What might be user-friendly for newbies?
Oof.
This is so funny, guys. The shoe's on the other foot
I
this
wouldn't
week.
call any of them per se user friendly. It
Okay.
does take a little
Right.
level of like understanding, and the reason is
Mm.
you're converting our human thoughts, which has a very wide range of like, if this is then that's, and assumptions built into our thought process,
Mm.
where you're converting
Mhm.
to, if you hire a VA, you need to give them very specific black and white instructions so they're not thinking for themselves. If you're putting it into a
Mhm.
software, you have to give it computer language, which is if this, then that. There's no ranges of things that
Mhm.
happen. And sometimes it is very
Yeah.
hard for people to like convert that thought process.
What would an example of that be? So that way we can make it a little more visceral
So
versus
when we think
conceptual.
about that, it's you have a general idea of, oh, when somebody sends me a DM, I want to go ahead
Mm.
and send them this AI guide to, whatever the thing
Okay.
might be. Makes sense.
Mhm.
Like, you understand what I mean by that. But the built-in
Mhm.
caveat is somebody messages me and says, "Oh, hey, I want your 3 productivity hacks that you've been using and talking about, and what software you use." Well, cool. Yeah, I auto reply with, "Here's my AI guide on how to go and build this thing." And it's like, wait, I didn't ask for that. You talked about the software and productivity. Like, so
Mhm.
all of a
Mhm.
sudden there becomes a situation where we have to actually have some decision making involved. That's where
Mm.
we start to kind of get hung up. Now, the first time you run into that issue, you're like, oh, well, let me be more specific. Sure, you learn, but
Mm-hmm.
that's the learning curve that's kind of built in. Very specific
Mm,
if to very specific, then that is the thing that you have to think through.
got it. Okay. So are there some platforms that people will most often get started with, or are there things that you recommend they stay away from as they're
The
getting
two
into
that are,
this?
I would just say, common, and there's a couple other ones out
Yeah.
there, so I wouldn't say that these are called the best or whatever. I'm just going to use them because I think they're the most common. Zapier, which is just an automation software. It's been around for a decent amount of time. Their builders are pretty visual, which is nice. And they, generally speaking, it works as advertised. The other one that I would say is common in our industry, and it's actually it's kind of embedded into a different software, your overarching CRM, would be some version of GHL Go High Level, where it actually has automations built
Hmm.
into it. But the things like landing pages and actions and emails and texting and all this stuff that it can get pretty
Mm,
convoluted can all be built in because it's in the same platform. So, it's good, but if
got
you
it.
need to do something outside of that platform, you're like, it moves to another layer of trying to build these connections, which does make it more difficult.
Got it. So what I'm taking from that is effectively, if you want just automation, something like a Zapier might be more appropriate. If you're looking for something that integrates into how you manage your contacts, what happens when you get emails, what happens with whatever, right? Like more than just the actual process of if this happens, if someone submits an email, send them this resource, then that might be where you start to explore some of those
In a
CRM
sense, I would
platforms.
say,
Is that
are
what you're
the things you're trying to automate within the same platform that you're already using, i.e., hey, I already
okay?
send all my emails out through Go High Level, or I'm in somebody's
Yeah.
platform of Go High Level. Stick to Go High Level. But if
Mm,
you're trying to marry this platform with this platform with this platform and this platform and this platform to integrate these 5
yeah.
triggers and actions from different places, Zapier is probably going to be the
Mhm.
better one because it was built to connect different platforms together.
Got it. So if you're like most coaches and you're listening to this and this is your first discussion around automation, chances are good that you hopefully have a coaching platform somewhere of how you're delivering your service. You might be using something like Trainerize. We'll take some of that Trainerize. Maybe True Coach. We'll take some of that True Coach. Maybe Everfit. Maybe PT Distinction. If you don't, if we actually have a list of softwares that we recommend for coaches, and if you DM software, we'll send you it's a little spreadsheet. Like there's 10 of them. I added 2 more yesterday. Kahunas is one. But it just again helps you understand like what platforms are for what. Most coaches will start there, in my experience, and this is where coaches will struggle to grow when they don't use automations. And this is where your cycle of gain a client, lose a client, gain 2 clients, lose 3 clients, like that's where that becomes a lot more more palpable. You start to really notice that because you don't have all these things. You're trying to keep up with all these people, and you want to send this reminder text out, and then you're also like, so that automation is starting to become increasingly important. The more gaps that you start to find of like, oh shit, I was supposed to follow up with that person. When you start doing that, you need to explore these things and you need to expand beyond just the coaching software that you have. Although that is a great place to start. Steve, how much will something like a Zapier cost someone versus a CRM?
You're looking at a range. I'm going to say full-fledged CRM can be up to $300 a month, whereas a Zapier can be as low
Wow.
as just $20 a month. But Zapier is going
Okay.
to also be dependent on, how many actions you're using and how many things you're building. So if you're needing
Uh,
to build one thing, Zapier is probably pretty good. If you need to build 100 things, Zapier is probably going to cost $500. So a lot of it can be usage dependent more than just kind of a normal standard platform fee.
Got it. So before someone even drops into automation, we've mentioned that, like get busy with the service delivery, figure out what redundant things that you just kind of like want to slap yourself in the forehead every time you have to do them, or you're getting gaps. Like what are some things that would make sense for people to have an understanding on as they're exploring which platform to go in? Should they like diagram something? Should they fuck up a lot and lose 10
Just
clients? Like,
again,
you
it
know,
comes down to understanding what are the things that you do every single time, no matter what,
mhm,
regardless, and it requires minimal or no kind of specifics around it. Again, somebody comes in, I mentioned the 2 marketing things.
Yeah.
Let's say service delivery side of
Mm-hmm.
things. Okay. They just signed up. Well, what should you make sure they have? A receipt and what to expect. How can that happen?
Mm-hmm.
Automatic email coming out, right? How do you make sure those things
Mm-hmm.
happen? That would be the next thing that I do. Like, I signed up for coaching once. I processed a credit card. There was no thank you page and there was no receipt. An hour later, I text the coach. I'm like, "Hey, did it go through? Like, what's the next thing we do?" And that just leaves it open for a really bad experience out of the gates, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing that I would do, honestly, in that, hey, here's your receipt, here's what to expect next, kind of that onboard doc, whatever it is, would be some version of, I also
Yeah.
send out automatic reminders the day before and the morning of our appointments. So that way, if you ever need to change something, it's just a gentle reminder, a nudge for you to go ahead and change it. The reality is you're making sure they're going to
Yeah.
show up to those because those are your points of contact to increase the likelihood they get results, but it is also a kind of eliciting them to make a change should they need to. So, you
Mm,
know, you need to remind people of their appointments, get them their receipts, what to expect, send them the thing you thought
yeah.
that they expected to get from a marketing side of things. Those are probably the
Mm-hmm.
3 to 5 things out of the gates that once I have some clients and I'm doing marketing still, I would go tackle those things because they tend to be pretty impactful, and they're also,
Mm-hmm.
when this happens, do this. They're not multi-step. They're not confusing. They're just go get this job done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. So we've talked about different types of platforms. We've talked about when might this be appropriate. We've talked about some of the things you just want to understand about how you currently operate as a business. And obviously this is a podcast about the business of fitness and nutrition coaching. And so it's like, I can't really think of anything else that would make sense for us to go and explain as context before we start getting into some brief workflows and what that construct process might look like. Maybe is there anything else that you think listeners should
No,
should think
again,
about?
biggest thing, what do I do repeatedly and what requires minimal connection? Those are the things you're going to start off with. Don't over engineer it. Don't
Okay.
overcomplicate it. Don't build these things before you need them because who knows? Like, go figure those pieces out and then put these little things in place. This is truly the start of like growth and scale. And it's the general idea is, how do you buy
Mm-hmm.
back time on things that shouldn't be taking your
Mm-hmm.
time so you can go focus your energy on either more marketing and sales efforts or better service delivery to
Yeah.
enhance client results. That's what you're doing here, just getting some time back.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've talked about a lot of the foundational elements that go into creating a funnel. We in the last episode, if you haven't listened to that, head back, right? Give us a thumbs up, like that video so we know you watched it. But at the same time, now we've established like, hey, there's going to be a certain point where you're going to need some help. Like software is a great use case for that. All right, guys. So that's pretty much it for the intro to automations. Again, make sure you smash that subscribe button because we're going to be going into part 2, which is actually how to build a workflow and what workflows, specifically the top 7 workflows, probably more than that, but the top 7 workflows that you're definitely going to want to integrate into your business that are really going to simplify your life and drastically increase your chances of being successful in the fitness of business, in the business of fitness and nutrition coaching. So until next time, guys, thanks,
Later,
Steve.
gang.